And you start looking far away.
You're giving me chills, man.
You're looking for the ocean to turn this way, but what about this way?
Exactly.
I mean, you're
giving me chills, man. I'm not even lying.
Out there is miles from this end to this
Yeah,
end.
you know already.
It's 20, 30, 40 miles.
Exactly. Exactly. So here's the curvature formula. I do have it with me. So they tell us the radius of the Earth is 3,159 miles because NASA claims to have satellites orbiting the Earth. So they need to know the radius of orbit. So these are the numbers. So it doesn't matter what numbers they give us. Water is always level. It's not even going to show an inch of curvature because water doesn't bend. That's what, water, that's what we use these in construction to make sure things are flat or level. Flat, it's a misrepresentation because flat just means a surface that's smooth with no bumps or indents. Earth has orientation, so level means there's orientation. So the Earth is not flat, it's level because it has orientation.
So what shape is it?
It's level. Now, as a whole, you're talking about like the whole thing. It's impossible to know because Earth is a contained system, so Earth is like a terrarium.
So it's like
we don't know what's outside of it because we're
like
contained, basically.
It's like this, looking like this from the top. You can see
I have the flat Earth map that they try to push, and again, this is a psyop as well, and I'm gonna tell you why.
What about the rest of the planets?
The planets here, actually,
do we not know?
Yeah.
They're just
so
lights.
these are the stars that are supposedly trillions of light years away,
and
these are the planets. They're just lights, like the stars. No, they're just lights. Nobody knows what they are.
They do CGI to make them look
exactly. Man, you already know.
That's why they call them images.
Exactly.
They don't tell you it's a picture.
Exactly. They call them images. You know what? Let me. I forgot to put this.
I cannot come out on.
Okay. I'll start this one after you guys leave then.
I've already.
Yeah, no worries.
I've already been chased by them.
No, believe it or not. Oh, if you guys check my last live stream,
if I can tell you,
I have. You know how you can have a chat box in your screen that shows the comments from the live stream. If you check my last live stream, like halfway through the video, they hacked it and they switched all the comments that people were actually commenting, and they were just basically talking shit to me, talking shit to everybody, basically just trying to discourage new people that are looking into this when they look at comments. It's that channel right there in the front. Yeah, you can look it up. But yeah, the last live I did, they hacked the chat, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do it next time.
What's inspiring you to spend
my time doing this?
Time
It's because I was a die-hard believer in outer space, first of all. So I fantasize about outer space and aliens and all this. That's all I think about, right? So coming to this realization basically burst that bubble from me completely and basically brought me back to reality. And the fact is, nobody knows what this place actually is. So they take advantage of that fact. And any religion takes advantage of that fact, exactly, that nobody knows what this place actually is. So any story that they come up with, if anybody believes it, you already fell into a trap because nobody knows what this place is, period. All we know...
What's the end goal?
The end goal is
do we need to raise enough money to see what's out or no?
No. So we don't need to go to space to figure this out, because water shows us that. Again, if we could see the curvature...
You just told us we don't know the shape of the Earth.
No. The surface of the Earth is a level plane. What's underneath or how does it look as a whole, we can't go outside of it to see that. We can only go so high, put it that way. 20 miles is the limit. Have you guys...
Around the Earth is it ice?
That's what they claim. I don't go with any models. Oh yeah, I was going to show you guys the map. So I don't go with this model. This is the model that they try to push on us.
How does gravity work?
I'm glad you brought that up. So gravity...
Density? You're just standing.
No. So they claim gravity.
It has to be gravity.
So in order for an object to have motion, there needs to be pressure, right? And they claim that gravity is that pressure pull. I don't know if you guys knew, a force only exists through pressure variance. So something pressing on something else, like air pressure, the combustion engine on your car.
Anything that's heavier than air.
No. You're talking about you're going a step forward. Density and buoyancy. You can't have density and buoyancy without pressure. So the question is, what's creating the pressure on Earth, right? They tell us it's gravity's pulling force of the Earth, but in reality, it's the pushing force of the Earth. So the Earth is in constant motion, pressing up against Earth.
If you're pushing, you also have to be...
So when you let something drop...
Wait, you're pushing, you have to also be pulling.
No. So when you pull, like a rope, for example, pull is a description of direction, like something coming towards you.
So two pushing then. Two pushing forces.
So basically, only pushing forces exist when something's in contact with something else to move it. I cannot move that without touching it, like pulling it. I can't pull it like this.
What is this doing? Pushing into you?
This
just two pushing then.
Just two pushings, exactly.
So you're saying that we're falling through space right now?
No. If anything, we're just floating, if anything, and the Earth is pressing up against us. That's what gravity is.
He doesn't know what's holding this up.
No, yeah, the Earth, what's
Yeah,
outside of it,
it's
I don't
God.
know. I think the Earth is more like it's fixed, so it's on some kind of track, if you
God
ask
is
me.
God is holding this up.
push motion if we're not just floating through space going straight
That's
down.
the thing, we don't know what's outside of the Earth.
He's
We
saying
can
he
only
doesn't know.
speculate, exactly, yeah. So based on physics, so I don't know if you guys have heard of the Newton's law of mass attracting mass, right? I don't know if you guys heard of the new theory, the modern theory of relativity, which Einstein came up with. The reason Einstein came up with that new theory of relativity, which is taught in school now, is because he debunked the fact that objects don't accelerate down. And the reason why he did that is because when you release an object in free fall, there is zero pressure within that object. So for example, you know how there's measuring devices to measure the pressure when you go into deep water? You can measure the pressure the deeper you go, right? If you were to have like a tank floating in air, like with a helicopter, right? And you put one of these devices to measure the pressure, as soon as that tank is released in free fall, that pressure vanishes. So there's nothing pressing against it.
So look,
It floats?
you asked
So
about
it appears to fall, but that's because the Earth is coming in contact
you
with
asked
it.
about
Everything's in motion right now.
The
So
Earth is coming in contact with
the Earth is in constant motion right now.
So look.
Wait, hold on.
You asked
The
about
Earth-
gravity.
Wait, hold on.
That's what the theory of relativity tries to explain from a globe
then you're-
perspective.
If you-
That the Earth is
Your
rising up
mind
to
is not
objects.
going to try to debunk everything.
Yeah,
I want to
yeah.
understand. That's what I think.
Exactly.
But your mind's
You're
going to try
wrong.
to debunk it. Your
Yeah.
mind's going to try to do it because
Normal
it's trained to
human.
do that.
Exactly.
Because if you don't, you're crazy.
So, well, that's like saying this. That's like saying, "Oh, let me just believe it."
No,
No,
I
no,
have
no,
to
no.
do that.
Open your
Understand
eyes.
physics. Understand
You gotta-
physics.
you gotta
Water's
have-
going to be the
you gotta,
key.
You got to do it open-minded.
So,
Go into this, I don't know. Don't go into this,
You said-
it's a ball.
you
It's
said-
I don't know. And then
no,
that's
yeah,
gonna
but
help you.
I'm saying this from my
Let's
understanding of
see if
physics.
it's true.
You're
Yeah.
saying the Earth's coming into contact with it, not in coming into contact with the Earth. So,
Objects don't
so
come
you're
down.
saying the Earth is always going up.
That's the thing. I don't know if you know the tides, the high tide and low tide of the ocean.
Yeah.
Man, she
That
stands
tides,
out.
the tides, in my opinion, show that the Earth is not moving in a straight line because the tides show that the water's kind of deviating a bit.
So
The tides,
is the
you know?
Earth?
So the Earth is not
Wait,
moving
let
in
me
a
tell you
straight
something
line.
about the-
It's in some kind of cycle.
Let me
if
tell
you
you
ask
something
me.
about the
Moving in
sea.
some kind of cycle.
Let me tell you something about the sea.
Wouldn't that change?
Wait,
how,
hold on,
wait,
hold
hold
on.
on.
He's having
Wouldn't that change how things go? Wouldn't that
How they
change
fall straight?
How they things either fall straight,
Yeah,
to
yeah.
the
So
side,
this-
or
yeah.
the speed.
Yeah, the speed determines our weight.
But we know that if we're in a vacuum chamber,
Yeah.
things are going to fall at the exact same.
Yeah, but that's because they're not falling.
No, but they're always going to do that. Like,
Yeah,
it doesn't
you want to
matter
know
what
why?
time of the year.
You want to know why?
Why?
And it only happens when there's no air, by the way, in a vacuum chamber, like you said. And that happens because, again, that actually debunks that they accelerate down because this magical force, gravity, for example, will have to pull a feather and a bowling ball at the same rate, meaning it has to apply like 100 times more force to the bowling ball
That's what I
than the
wanted to
feather to accelerate them at the same rate, which doesn't
This is
exist.
going to explain this. This is going to explain this. Check this out. This is you, and this is the water, the sea.
Oh, the sea, okay.
That exist?
Listen, man.
Wait,
I'm gonna show you why.
I heard everything you had to say.
No, you
before.
don't. No, you don't. Look,
Heard everything you
this is a person,
Yeah.
and this is the sea.
Okay.
The same pressure, the same amount of pressure per pounds, per whatever, to hold the tons of water down as far as gravity would crush any human being.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Here's something to understand real quick.
Unless what? Unless gravity has a mind of its own.
No, unless you're the pressure. Unless this is the pressure, not the Earth.
Look, real quick, when you have a bottle like this,
Unless
it
they
could be a
depend on
car,
that.
for example, too. If you were to accelerate this container or a car that way in one direction, what's going to happen? It's
You're
going to
watching
feel
this
like
right
you're
now.
being pulled back into your seat, right? It feels like there's something pushing you back against your seat when you accelerate front, right? That's what's happening with water. The reason why the water is being pressed down is because it's being pressed up, and then it gives the effect that you're being pressed back down.
They're
It's the
watching-
equal and opposite effect, basically.
So we are moving then. The world
Yeah,
have to move.
the Earth is moving, yes. And that's what gives us the illusion of things falling.
So are we
The
free
Earth
falling?
is watching us right now.
That's the thing, because the Earth is in constant motion and we're within the Earth. I don't know what the Earth is attached to. It could be attached to some kind of track, I think
So
so.
would you say that the moon landing was fake?
Yeah, all of that are just, I would call it NASA and any space
What is
agency,
your name?
Disney
So
for adults.
shouldn't we
What is your
find
name?
something?
My
to
name's
get-
William, it's on the flyer.
Shouldn't we find something to get
Ruben.
out of here?
Nice to meet
We
you.
can, we're contained. This is a creation.
We can't
So it's
find
like
something to get out of
this
here?
is like a
Glass.
terrarium. They say, the Bible talks about a glass dome. Not glass, but it uses a different word, like a firmament.
That's how you can see the rainbow when it rains. Because it's
This-
reflecting off of the glass.
It's more of a possibility that above us is more water than outer
Yeah,
space.
There is more water.
That's more of a
That's what it
possibility.
is.
I don't know. Again, I don't like
That's
to make
why
claims.
the
I don't
Bible
know.
talks about the water from above and the water from
Yeah,
beneath.
yeah. But if I'm being honest, I don't know.
No, you don't know.
But that makes more sense than the idea of outer space, negative pressure next to Earth without a container. You know, that defies physics. You know, so the
Dome.
ball Earth defies physics,
The
basically.
dome.
Yeah.
You guys heard of the dome? You know, on some cartoons they try to dumb it down. Oh, the dome.
Okay, it looks like the chat's fine right now. Because last time, like I said,
Are we
they
chatting
hacked
right
it.
now or what?
Yeah, this one's people are. You guys can check it out. It's fun when you guys leave.
Oh, damn, you're recording us, bro?
I'm recording myself. Yeah, you guys don't have to come on.
You're recording yourself. You're here. You come
Yeah,
on.
get over there.
We're gonna see you.
I thought you didn't want to be on video. Nah, it's fine.
Kiss my hand. I can't
Right.
right. you.
I mean, you guys have any other questions?
They already got me, bro.
Oh, yeah.
I studied that for like 5 years.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I
Okay.
promise you they got me. So good.
I'm convinced. They got me good.
You got you.
They brainwash people into accusing me of stuff.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough.
True.
All right.
These people, man.
No, yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
Next, watch out.
You never know, man.
You know it's true. You know,
I mean, there are people that speak out, for example, against the government. I don't know if you guys, I mean, JF Kennedy. Have you heard? You guys heard his last speech?
Yeah.
You guys should hear his last speech he ever did, and it will make sense why they removed him. Now, did he get murdered? I don't know, but they removed him for sure, obviously,
you
because
should see the part where the next president comes in. What's the next step after the appointed president?
Yeah.
Where they take him into a room and tell him,
Right.
"This video."
yeah,
They say it was him. They say it was him, but look at the real one.
yeah, he was kind of subliminally exposing space exploration, kind of, in his last speech. He was
Everybody.
talking about all the secrets in government, how it's being kept from the people, and all that. Just to summarize what he said, basically, he was basically, huh?
You think she's going?
I think everybody's been. I've been brainwashed too.
Yeah.
You never know. The only way to not be brainwashed is to not accept any beliefs. Basically, so I don't have any beliefs. It's either I know something or I don't. And I know the Earth is not a ball. And I don't know the exact dimensions or the shape of the
That's
Earth.
the answer right there. I
But
don't know.
the surface, what we live on, for sure, it's a cross.
So-
it's a cross plane. You know.
So
It's a level plane.
the answer is I don't know that it's round, and I don't know that it's flat.
Well, I do know it's
So
level.
if we had
I don't know
a
what is it outside of it.
If we had
you
a
know?
telescope powerful enough, then we could see like China, right?
Yeah, theoretically.
If we made like a hole through
Theoretically,
all the...
but we will have to suck the whole atmosphere from the Earth as well, because the atmosphere creates layers of basically thickness of
But what
fog,
they're gonna give you,
and you won't be
is-
able to see even
they're
if you have a
gonna-
strong telescope.
They're gonna give you the excuse of it being a reflection.
Is that
And then
atmosphere-
refraction too,
Is that-
light bends after a certain distance.
Is that,
So there's a lot of things that will prevent us from seeing far, but theoretically we should be
Is
able
it
to,
far
if
enough?
there was no air and we had an infinite zoom camera.
Is it far enough to...
An experiment with that actually.
Yeah, I could have sworn they made
They
like
made
a
an
little...
experiment.
Chicago.
They made the circle experiment where, like, after a certain amount of yards, I forgot how many meters it was, but they wanted to see if they'd show any, like they would still be able to see the circle after a certain amount of distance.
They
But
could.
they couldn't.
Yeah, they can.
They couldn't see it though in that
If
experiment.
they can't see it, it's because of the it's not clear. The air's not clear.
Are you
It
talking
wasn't
about a
even
laser
that.
experiment?
I don't remember
Or was it just like
specifically.
a
It was
side,
it
a
was
line of sight?
It was I watched a long time ago,
Yeah.
but it was an experiment where they had like
Yeah.
a hole.
So
They made like two holes, like really far.
yeah, I know.
Theoretically, you
Yeah,
should be able
a
to
line
see
of sight.
through.
Yeah. So the reason why I'm out here too is, again, a lot of mainstream talks about visual experiments, looking at stuff at distance, or laser experiments, and I would say all of those are inconclusive. You're not going to come to a concrete answer because of the, again, refraction and light and the atmosphere. But if we did a physical measurement like this, where we build a level structure over a lake that was miles across,
I thought they did
we
that.
should be able to physically measure this water
I could've
bending
sworn they
8
did-
inches per
did
mile
50
square.
meters.
And the guys that build these structures, they don't apply the curvature.
All the blueprints from construction,
Yeah.
exactly, don't take account for
They don't-
curvature.
they-
They all
Like that
assume, even
experiment, I'm pretty
airplanes
sure
don't
they did it in
assume
the
the Earth
air.
is a level plane.
I'm pretty
That
sure they
doesn't
did that
rotate, by the way.
experiment
The
in
Earth
So
doesn't rotate.
it's supposed to go down...
It's not that hard.
8 inches
11
per mile
feet in
square.
3 miles?
Yeah, 6 feet in 3 miles. So if we start at 5 feet,
But
the
we can
gap-
see this, right? We can see 3 miles apart.
Yeah,
Yeah,
3
yeah.
miles. There's lakes that are
You're
over
right.
20 miles across. In 20 miles,
Wait,
there
hold
should
on.
be
Don't the-
266 feet.
When the boat goes far,
Yeah.
You'll still see it.
You begin not to see it.
No, no,
No,
no,
if
no,
you
no,
zoom
no.
in on it, you'll see it. You can't
So-
see it because of the atmosphere.
So
it disappears.
these train tracks, when we observe train tracks like this, are they coming together physically, or
There's a point.
Exactly. So we
across
have a
where they
vanishing
disappear.
point. We have
Yeah,
a
there's a
limit to
point of-
perspective.
yeah.
So the reason why boats disappear is because they go out of our sight. Basically, we're
But
not
we can see
Superman.
with the camera.
But then with the camera, if you zoom in, you'll bring it back into view. But then if it goes out of the view of the camera, because again, cameras have limited zoom.
But will it go down?
No.
No, it wouldn't go down. It would just be
You wouldn't
there.
be able to zoom in on it.
Yeah,
If it
once
was down.
Yeah, if it goes down, you shouldn't be able to zoom
Camera
in on
can
it.
do this.
Yeah, exactly.
It can only do this.
So yeah, everything we see,
What is the reason they give for that?
their reason is that that's the curvature. So they avoid these observations that you bring with stuff. They avoid it. That's the explanation.
What's the reason they give for the explanation that a camera can still see it?
They don't. They avoid it. That's
don't
my
give
point.
any-
Yeah, they don't.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Let's roll, guys.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, look it up.
They have
Look
a
into
reason.
it.
I know they do.
Yeah, there's an explanation
I
for
don't know.
everything.
I'm asking you. I don't
Thank
know.
you.
Take it easy,
Yeah,
brother.
you too, man.
All right,
Thanks for talking, man. Yeah, yeah. All right, so I'm giving the chat box another shot. See if it gets hacked again, but we'll see. They didn't want to be on camera, so I'm barely gonna put the action camera now, which is fine. They kind of came in before I was set up, but the dad, I don't know if he was the dad, but he was really open-minded. Like, he already looked into all this. Like, it's crazy. Pretty cool. It's funny because I'm kind of a loud speaker, I guess you could say. When I talk loud. So I feel like doing this, you know, people that are just walking by can clearly hear what I'm saying. So I kind of feel like it's kind of funny. I don't know why, but that was cool. I got a little conversation off the back. All right. I'm gonna have to have the chat open on my phone as well, just in case the live chat goes cuckoo again, right? Oh man. Greetings from across the flat pond. Let me see if I missed anything. No. Actually, let me put my shit away first. Most Mexicans talk loud. Maybe, I guess. I haven't really paid attention to that. If you haven't selected all messages in chat filters, you only see YouTube censor version of the chat. True. For anybody watching this, even for live comments and regular comments on any video, you might want to switch from top comments to newest. You know, that way you could see the ones that YouTube filters out. But to be honest, you know, there's a lot of messages that I don't even get to see, that don't even make it. But those are the ones that I guess do make it, but still get ghosted. But yeah, you want to switch from top to newest comments. Oh my god. Okay, let me make sure I got all this. All right, so the title, right? Pressure, motion requires pressure. That's a fact. I mean, nobody could deny that, you know. Motion requiring pressure, it's physics, you know, it's basic physics, if any. So, again, when it comes to objects in free fall, if we were to put a measuring device that measures pressure, and then we put that into free fall, that device is not going to measure any pressure because there is no pressure within an object during free fall, telling us that it's not moving down, you know, because there's no force, there's no pressure within, you know, on the container to create motion. You know, you need pressure to create motion, you know, and pressure is motion, something else moving something else, you know, pretty simple. So there's this video. Alright, so I'm gonna go over this other video. Let me see if I can So again, just to hammer the point, water also shows us the direction of the motion. So again, direction of acceleration, water moves towards the back and the air moves towards the front of acceleration. You know, same thing in this one. Water moves towards the back, air moves towards the front of acceleration. Again, there's displacement. Water's trying to move to the top because I'm accelerating it down. So again, objects don't show any effects of motion when they're in free fall, you know. So here's a video, another video of someone basically explaining Einstein's theory of relativity and basically what he claims and how they had to rework. You know, the mainstream figured out that people were gonna question the validity of objects accelerating down because of the lack of pressure and the lack of effects of motion when in free fall. So they had to come up with a different explanation, a different theory, and that's where the Einstein's theory of relativity comes in, where they try to explain the reference frame in motion opposed to the object in motion. But obviously, if the globe, you know, as the reference frame was moving up towards the objects, you would be expanding, which doesn't make any sense. So, you know. But yeah, this is a video. I kind of went over one last time, but a similar video. Kind of how the mainstream admits that objects don't accelerate down, you know. And again, it's because of physics. So they had to redo their theory of gravity.
Galileo dropped different masses from the Leaning Tower of Pisa to demonstrate that all objects, regardless of their constitution, accelerate at the same rate towards the Earth. An experiment which would help inspire Newton's laws of gravity. But it would take over 300 years and a little prodding from Einstein for physics to realize that this interpretation was wrong. Indeed, if Newton and the theorists of his era had looked a little more deeply into their own laws, they might have realized that it was Galileo, the Tower of Pisa, and the ground that were accelerating up all along. This is...
So, damn, I lost my train of thought right there.
dialect with the sky is falling up. As it is written in his Principia Naturalis, Newton's first law.
Oh yeah, so basically what happened was Newton's laws of gravity, well the laws of motion, the laws of motion. So when Newton came out with his theory of gravity, basically that theory contradicted, you know, the laws of motion. So, you know, so that theory basically debunks itself, in other words, which is again why they had to rework their explanation of what gravity is, you know, because it contradicted itself basically.
States that every body perseveres in its state of rest or of uniform motion in a right line, unless it is compelled to change that state by forces impressed thereupon. Now, in conjunction with Newton's second law, which relates force to acceleration, this implies an obvious way to detect true motion, by measuring whether a body deviates from rectilinear uniform motion. Let's apply this to an observer on a rocket ship who, say, is unaware of their state of motion. To try to determine it, they toss an object off of themselves. If this object floats away with uniform motion, then from Newton's first law, they can deduce that the frame of the rocket ship is inertial, i.e., that it's at rest or moving with constant velocity. This is like what you see with astronauts in zero-gravity environments when they're floating around looking all cool and whatnot. Now, if our observer tosses the object off themselves and it instead falls to the ground, then Newton's laws now imply that a force must be involved. One that either accelerated the object to the ground, or one that accelerated the ground to the object. If this observer is equipped with sufficient prior knowledge of their system, and knows that their object contains no internally acting forces, and isn't magnetically attracted to the floor or anything of that sort, meaning that it is a free body, they can rule out the possibility that the object was acted upon by a...
By the way, an internal acting force could be something like, our life force, for example, our free will, which is something that creates motion within our bodies. That's how we're able to move. So that will be something that's internal, so objects, to claim that objects have something internal, force or something that could, move them, especially orientate them. Because not even we have orientation just because we have a life force. Just because we have a life force doesn't mean we have orientation. We still need the earth, the earth's motion to have orientation, so.
Local force. That leaves a second possibility, that the object never accelerated at all, and rather it was the floor of the rocket ship that accelerated up to meet it. Note here that this would give rise to an apparent downward motion of the object, even though its true motion remained a uniform line.
The reference frame being in motion will give an apparent motion of the object. So it will give you an apparent, acceleration of the object, or motion basically. But its true motion the true motion is the ground basically. But again, if the ground was moving, and you're standing on the ground, it would look like the object is falling, because everything's in motion. So again, that's the only thing that's separated, you could say. So it's the only thing that looks, different. So it fell, as some people say. But again, it's just an apparent drop. That's what it is. It's just an apparent drop. It's not it doesn't really drop, And again, physics proves that.
At least until it gets hit by the floor. Thus, the observer now has an operative definition for motion. That is, they have an experiment by which to define whether their frame is accelerating or not. This is the free body test.
By the way, the free body test is basically like the free fall test. That's another way of putting it. So the free body test is the free fall test. So free fall. Again, free fall, observing objects during free fall, and understanding what's happening, what debunks the claim that objects accelerate towards the ground in free fall. Free fall is the key.
The observer might also have used an accelerometer in the form of something such as masses attached to a spring. Or they could have relied on haptic input from their nervous system, both of which are essentially more sophisticated reformulations of the free body test. Okay, now let's have our observer put such definitions into practice at the surface of the Earth. First, they take a loose object and toss it off themselves. What happens? Well, just like on the accelerating rocket ship, it falls to the ground. Next, they use an accelerometer, masses attached to a spring. They notice that the spring compresses, Again, just like on the rocket ship.
Again, this is physics right here, you know, watching objects in, you know, change basically, you know, like the spring being compressed, you know, objects appearing to fall, you know, there's something that's causing that basically, you know. And again, in order for objects to move, you need a force, you know, and force is pressure. So
next, they use their nervous system to feel their own weight. And they notice they feel just as heavy as being on a rocket ship accelerating at 9.8 meters per second squared through space. In fact, all and every experiment they perform at the surface of the Earth will give indistinguishable results from being on an accelerating rocket ship. The next question then, naturally, is what is an observer allowed to conclude from this? Well, an objection that could be raised from the get-go is that the free body test can't be performed at the surface of the Earth because the body isn't free at all. Rather, it's being acted upon by the downward force of gravity. So, unlike when we were in the rocket ship, here we can't rule out the possibility that a force acted locally to accelerate our object to the ground. As to the other possibility, that the ground accelerated up, well, this doesn't seem to fit with our everyday intuition, nor with the larger picture of the Earth being round and all.
again, the Earth rising up from a globe perspective wouldn't make any fucking sense, you know. So, you know, but again, physics proves that objects don't accelerate now, so they couldn't go with the mass attracting mass anymore. They just couldn't, you know. You know, people were, you know, were gonna get too smart eventually, and you know, so they had to come up with bending and warping of space-time, which explains why the Earth is not expanding in all directions. You know, which again, I don't understand it. I don't understand that theory. If I'm being honest, it's bullshit. That's why. I understand that it's bullshit. You know, the theory of relativity trying to explain, you know, from a globe perspective, it's retarded. You know, that's why nobody can understand it. And then because you don't understand it, most people think that they must be retarded because they can't understand it. When the reality is that the claim is retarded because it cannot be understood. Not even the people that claim these claims understand it. You know. So, you know, that should tell you a lot right there.
So we, like Newton, probably feel pretty comfortable declaring at this point that the reason the apple falls to the earth is in fact because of the force of gravity. Alas, there's something that throws a huge wrench into this idea.
Exactly.
The same very something that Galileo demonstrated with his Tower of Pisa experiment all those centuries ago. It's the fact that gravity accelerates all objects equally, meaning there is no such thing as a body free from the gravitational force. Neutrally charged objects are free from the electromagnetic force. But no object can ever serve as the standard of our definition of a free body in a gravitational field. Thus, we have at once lost the very thing we set out to construct, a definition for true motion. Because now, our observer on the rocket ship has...
A definition for true motion, by the way, could be something as simple as, you know, if there's any pressure within an object, I mean water in specific, water is going to show if there's any pressure or motion. You know, once you have, you know, if you have a container and you have water within that container, water is always going to show you if there's any motion of the container and the direction of the motion as well, you know. So there is, you know, experiments we can conduct to determine whether something's in motion or not, and water is the key, you know. Again, water, again, it comes back to water, understanding water.
No way to distinguish whether it was the floor that accelerated towards their object, or whether they're simply in the presence of a gravitational field which has rendered their free body not so free after all. Observer accelerating in a car, for instance, has equal right to say that they are motionless, because they can just claim there is a sideways directed gravitational field in their proximity, acting to accelerate every loose object towards the back of the vehicle. This fact is encapsulated by what's known as the equivalence principle, which, as Einstein put it, is the physical equivalence between a homogeneous gravitational field.
The physical equivalence between an imaginary gravitational field. That's a better way to put it.
And an accelerated frame of reference.
And an accelerated frame, which is, again, we're going a force, imaginary gravitational force, or something that's practical, a reference frame being accelerated. That's practical. That can be recreated to show all the effects of motion that we observe, like density and buoyancy and weight, pressure, orientation. You know, all of these things could be achieved by the container being in motion, like in this car, for example. Again, there's only two possibilities, an imaginary one and a practical one. so it's up to you, basically.
Now, over the decades, the equivalence principle has been interpreted by many as indicating that there is, in fact, no difference between true and apparent motion. That they are interchangeable via the addition or subtraction of a...
Sub 7, I haven't seen you here before, but the reason why they lie is to dumb the population down. So it's not so much to lie about the shape of the earth, it's like a cheap shot on our common sense, because if they could get you to ignore reality and throw away your common sense in favor of an image, for example, or a cartoon, then you're giving your authority, your common sense, your ability to think for yourself to someone else to do it for you. And that literally breeds hierarchy, which means, you know, a system of control. So they lie to us about the shape of the earth to disconnect us from our true selves, from our own common sense, to control us, basically, so that we're more easily controlled. Now, there could be a bigger picture to why they're lying to us, but that's a pretty, you know, simple explanation that anybody can understand. I mean, why do con artists con, right? It's to take advantage of others, basically, to control, you know, because they're selfish. It comes back to being selfish, you know, people that are doing this, you know. So it's not so much about the shape of the earth, it's more about control.
Gravitational field. There is an additional experiment they can perform to determine if their motion is real or apparent. That is, after a few seconds, they can take their foot off the accelerator. When they do this, they will notice that the gravitational field in their vicinity instantaneously vanishes. The instantaneity is key here, because according to the theory of special relativity, nothing can travel faster than the speed of light.
By the way, the speed of light, you know, that's just a concept, by the way. It's not a real measurement of speed. The speed of light, by the way, I guess. Again, it's part of them getting you to just doubt your own common sense, so that you basically think you're the one that's dumb. And I just have to follow, you know, what I'm told, you know, or believe what I'm told, because I'm too dumb to figure it out myself, you know. That's the goal.
The vanishing of the gravitational field thus cannot be attributable to any real counteractive force, meaning the observer in the car must conclude the field was fictitious. This means, at last, we can establish a test for true motion. Here's how. If there exists some local switch we can find to make a gravitational field in our immediate vicinity instantaneously vanish, then we know that, in fact, this gravitational field cannot have been real, and that previously we had been undergoing true motion. In the case of the car, the switch is the accelerator pedal. In the case of the rocket, it's the firing of the rocket engines.
First of all, it's light traveling, so we don't even know what light is to begin with. So even if it was traveling, we don't even know how it's, you know, traveling to be able to measure. How do you measure light. It doesn't even make any sense. What do you use, like a radar gun to measure it? Like, that's where an imaginary number has to come in. Again, people want certainty, and that's what the globe and religions do. They give you answers. They give you specific answers. Look at the globe. They have specific numbers for everything. Again, numbers, these numbers, equations, they don't prove reality. They could just make up numbers and claim that that's what's happening. That doesn't mean that's true. Again, if you go into buying these ideas that's factual, you're falling into the trick. So yeah, I don't know what light is, so I'm not even gonna make any claims about speed of light and all this shit. So
Now, in a similar manner, let's ask, is there something we can do at the surface of the Earth to instantaneously switch off the gravitational field there? Because if we can indeed find such a switch, this will distinguish for us whether the force causing all objects to fall down is a real one, or rather, if it is merely an apparent one, caused by an erroneous judgment of motion from an accelerated frame of reference. It turns out there is such a switch.
It's crazy they went with the globe to lie about this place. The reason why they went with the globe to lie about this place is because they took the geometry of vision, which is spherical, and they just basically warped it to make us think that we are standing on a sphere opposed to observing through a sphere. So that's one of the reasons why they went with a sphere, is because it's more, it basically fits what we observe, because again, we're observing the Earth through spherical eyes. So they can use that apparent, drop of things in the horizon, for example, and vanishing to basically to flip the model, basically. And I think that's why they went with the ball,
What is it exactly? Well, go to the top of a tall building and step off of it. The instant you step off the building, the gravitational field in your immediate vicinity instantaneously vanishes.
In other words, as soon as you're not connected to the Earth, pressure vanishes. The force, every force, instantaneously vanishes. You're basically a free body at that point, and that's where the term free fall comes from. You know what I'm saying? So it's crazy how everything's in the language as well, and the reason why there's hints in the language, like horizon being horizontal and all this, is because in order for us to use language to communicate with each other, our language has to make sense. It has to have meaning. Because if our language didn't have meaning, then we wouldn't be able to communicate. It's very, very, very common sense, So language has to have meaning. And basically the globe is trying to take away that meaning or create new meanings to, again, lie. But if the language is not attached to reality, physics in specific, then you're just talking shit. That's simple. But yeah, so again, gravity or the force instantaneously vanishes during free fall. So again, that's why they had to come up with a new explanation, because this is physics, this is facts,
Or as Einstein wrote, ceases to exist. You can prove this to yourself by performing the free body test for inertial motion as you fall. Just like the unaccelerated observer in the rocket ship, you will discover that, neglecting air resistance, if you toss objects off yourself while falling, these objects will float away with uniform motion. Carry a spring with you, it won't compress. Try to weigh yourself on a scale, and you'll get a reading of 0. According to Newton's law.
Also, you release a water bottle in free fall, there's not going to be any displacement of the water as well. That's another one that would be part of this, the free body test or the free fall test. Water not displacing during free fall. Basically aligns with all of these other points as well.
You therefore must conclude that your frame of reference is inertial and that you are not accelerating. Yet, if you look down, the Earth is definitely getting closer and closer. But if you aren't accelerating, this leaves one and only one logical possibility. It is the Earth that is accelerating towards you.
Okay. There we go. I was still waiting for the next part, but so I edited that video down. But here, I'm gonna put the link to, if anybody wants to see the unedited version, the original version. The title of the video is the sky is falling up. I'm gonna put it in the description. And that's for anybody that wants to, again, see the whole edited version and also hear their gobbledygook explanation of how it works on a globe. You know, that's basically, you know, it's fucking retarded, you know, the explanation of how it works on a globe, you know, but... So, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and put the link for those who want to check it out. So there's the link, so anybody wants to check it out. Alright, let me see what else I got here. Well, I edited the bowling ball and feather experiment. Again, here we go. Again, Einstein's, this is Newton's theory of gravity versus Einstein's theory of gravity. Again, the feather and bowling ball experiment showing that they both accelerate down at the same rate, that doesn't make any sense, is because they're not accelerating down, basically. They're decelerating at the same rate, you know.
Isaac Newton would say that the ball and the feather fall because there's a force pulling them down, gravity. But Einstein imagined the scene very differently. The happiest thought of his life was this: the reason the bowling ball and the feather fall together is because they're not falling. They're standing still. There is...
Again, this is where they kind of misrepresent. It's because they're not falling. They're standing still. And it's like they're not completely still. They're decelerating. You know, so I think that's where the mainstream will misrepresent this claim as well. Again, just so it doesn't make any sense from a level Earth, you know. And again, it's all strategic, you know. But again, they're not just standing still. They're still in motion going up, but decelerating. So, man.
How's it going?
How's it going? You guys want to give it a shot?
Yeah.
See if you guys trust your common sense?
Yeah, I have common sense every day.
There we go. No, that's good. So, two very easy questions about water. And orientation. You guys know what orientation is, right? So I could have this bottle like this, I could have it in sideways, and I could have it upside down. That's 3 different orientations, right? Yeah. So a fun fact about water is that no matter what orientation the bottle is, water always goes down. You know, that's a fact. You know, water can never stick to it. That's obvious, right? Yeah. So the first question is, which one of these 2 images is upside down? Since we understand how water behaves.
This one's upside down. This one.
They're both right side up.
The image. Which image is upside down? One image is actually upside down.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, because I thought both of
I painted the water blue with food coloring just to make it easier to see the water.
Yeah.
So
Fool, it's that one.
There
It's
you
fucking
go.
orange. Yeah,
I thought it was a trick
so
question.
that one
It is a
is
fucking
actually
trick
like this.
question, fool.
It wasn't a trick question, but
Oh,
you guys got it. This one was the one upside down.
right,
That's how I
yeah.
took it.
Okay.
But
You gotta
yeah.
understand because the water's floating
Yeah,
up.
you're right.
Exactly.
You gotta think about the question too.
Yeah.
Which one's upside down?
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
And the
water.
sponge is there,
Yeah,
too.
the water doesn't stick to the top. I took it like this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Okay,
you guys got
there we
it.
go.
Easy.
Come on,
Is
every day.
There we go.
I'm
There's gotta be another one.
I'm in maintenance property, so it's you're always
Yeah, that's a
thinking
pro- yeah,
what's next?
Yeah.
you know?
So
And a lot of
another thing about water, real quick. Water always finds its level.
Yeah.
You guys know that, right?
Right.
What's another word for level? Because I could deviate the bottle, but water's remains level, regardless. So what's another word for level?
like up and down plumb, or
I mean, plumb will be perpendicular to level.
Yeah. I mean, it's not the. It's
We
not
will say horizontal.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
actually the one word definition because again, if you have a straight line that's on a slope, it's not level. It has to
Right.
be a horizontal straight line. And
Yeah.
that's what level means. So since we understand that fact about water as well, that it always finds its level. This one's easier, by the way. Which one of these two represents level, A or B?
Which one's level?
When we're looking at the water. Hey, yeah. You agree? I mean, that's obvious, right?
Yeah, right,
so
right.
the real reason I do this is because over 95% of the population, including myself and maybe you, have been tricked to believing this is what level means, even though we know it's this one. You guys want to know how we were tricked? Do you guys believe the Earth is a ball? Like a sphere in outer space, right?
Yeah.
So NASA
I
in
mean,
specific...
it's not
Oblate
full,
spheroid.
it's not fully it's not
They
fully
say a
circular.
flattened out ball,
Oh, okay.
oblate spheroid. That's what they say. But NASA in specific, they claim to have satellites orbiting the Earth, so they need to know the radius of orbit. So they need to know the radius of the Earth that they're supposedly going around it. So they do tell us the radius is 3,959 miles, which gives us a circumference of 24,901.
That's how it makes out. That's how you make the
So
hour.
exactly. So the curvature rate should be 8 inches per mile square. So that means in the first mile there should be an 8-inch drop, second mile 32 inches, and by the third mile there should be 6 feet of curvature. And every mile it just keeps increasing. So if we went to a giant lake that was miles across to physically measure for this curvature, exactly, it doesn't exist because water can't support itself. You know, water always collapses to form a horizontal plane. Water's not like Jello. You know,
You know, bodies of water, like they could be like.
they take the shape of a container.
Yeah, exactly.
But the surface is always level.
Yeah, like
So the
if a
oceans.
lake is deeper.
So the oceans are being contained by the continents. That's where the word container comes. I mean, that's where the word continent comes from, in my opinion. Container, because the continents are holding the water in, so they're a higher elevation. You know, so again, the water's not bending around the globe.
Yeah.
So if I was,
Of course, it's going to be not. Well, when it's going to look like when you're looking at a body of water, the
looks
deepest
flat.
is going to be in the center, right?
yeah.
it's
You're
gonna
talking
be
about
like
pressure, right? But I'm talking about the surface, because if they're telling us we live on this ball, then the oceans have to be curving. The surface of water has to be bending to stick to the earth. But physics, water shows us that's impossible. You know, water doesn't bend. And you could go to any lake. When you go to the ocean, have you heard of the term sea level? Level being horizontal. You know what I'm saying? So if I was to ask you guys, what's the number one proof or reason, because there's no proof, that makes you believe that the earth is a ball? So check this out. I mean, you guys could be honest. What's the number one reason that convinces you? Pictures. Okay, pictures. What about you?
Probably just like how
Gravity.
because they
One at a time.
because before the Earth was always covered in water, so they
Well, that's what they tell us. I don't go with stories. I actually don't know how the earth was created.
because then it just like shook it shook up. It
You
shook
can kind of see
open.
it bend. at
You're
the
talking about
ocean.
so your ocean. Okay, so the
When you look
ocean.
out.
Yeah. So when people say, "Oh, the horizon's the limit," or it's the curvature of the Earth, right? The reality is we have a limit to how far we can see.
Yeah.
And a simple experiment is if I hold an object in front of you and I move away, it's going to appear to get smaller and smaller and smaller until that the object's not getting small. We know that, you know. You know, but our vision has a limit. So the horizon is just the limit of perspective. It's the vanishing point of our vision. So when you elevate, you increase your angle of view, so you're able to see further in front of you. But if the Earth was truly bending and the horizon was the curve of the Earth, when we elevate, the horizon should never rise up with you. So you have a quick little illustration of what the horizon should look like when you're on a ball compared to a level plane. So this is what on a ball versus a level plane on the right. When you elevate, that's what it should look like. But if you go to like these are kind of like a video of the Earth. It's just 20 miles high without a GoPro lens, by the way, because GoPros curve horizons. So yeah, the Earth rises to eye level and there's no curvature left to right. So this is what the Earth actually looks like. This is as high as we can go, by the way. NASA, everything, all the rockets they shoot up go in a curve, and they go into the Bermuda Triangle, which apparently nobody's allowed to go there, right? So the reason they do that is because the rockets come back down to the Earth. They come back down to the ocean, and the reason they created the Bermuda Triangle story so that nobody's there to record, you know, them actually, you know, going back down. So when they cut from the rocket to outer space, that's CGI. So that's when they do their cuts, you know. So it's just like a little movie that they show us when they shoot rockets up.
Yeah.
You know, astronauts are not really going to outer space because outer space is just a concept. I don't know if you knew that. And a concept is just an idea. So someone's imagination. So what's out there, out of the Earth, I don't know. But the idea of water space it defies physics as well, because in order to have two opposing pressure systems, for example, like the tire in your car with air, you need to have a completely sealed container. If you have a hole in that container, the air is just going to equilibrate.
Yeah.
That's the second law of thermodynamics. entropy. You know, there's always going to be entropy. So the fact that they claim outer space is a negative pressure system compared to Earth's vacuum, it's not completely negative, but compared to Earth's 14.7 psi, without a solid barrier, and the air's not rushing out into space, that defies physics. You know what I'm saying? So outer space doesn't exist as we're being told. You know, so the lights in the sky, a lot of people, well, what are the stars, right? So this is what the stars actually look like. They're just lights that twinkle, and it looks like they're in water. So this is a P900 camera, 83 times zoom. So it's optical zoom, by the way. It's not digital zoom, because I know digital zoom, you just zoom into pixels. This is optical, so it's through lenses. And you're able to bring them into focus. And then the planets are no different. They're just lights in the sky like the stars. I don't know if you knew, the planets used to be called wandering stars. That's where the word planet comes from, wandering stars. But they're just lights in the sky. Nobody really knows what they are, other than a map above us that we could use to navigate.
Yeah.
So, I mean, any questions? I mean, I know it's a lot of information, you know, I'm sharing right here, but...
Nah, it's just fucking, it's an interesting fact
to come across?
So, yeah.
How long do you guys hear about flat Earth? Because I know you guys heard of flat Earth, you know?
I always thought the Earth was round.
So did I.
I never had a preconception of what it really was.
Okay, that's actually good. You're actually in a pretty good stance to be that way.
It was just like whatever.
Okay, fair enough. So here is the 6 main proofs that debunk the globe. You want one? Or
Nah, I'm cool.
You're cool? Okay.
Yeah, no,
but,
just talking to you was cool.
All right, no worries.
Yeah.
And, but this information is being censored, so if you go on Google or YouTube after you leave to try to look for some genuine information, you're going to get nothing but ridicule, misrepresentation, and basically just ignoring the main points, which is water, the horizon. You know, Euclidean plane geometry is a construction that's used to create everything you see, railroads, bridges. All the blueprints don't show curvature, basically. It's all planar, planar geometry. So bridges that are over 100, in China there's a bridge over 100 miles long. It doesn't have any curvature, or they don't account for any curvature, basically. You know, so again, all the blueprints, everything practical shows that the Earth is not a ball. Only stories will try to convince you that it's a globe.
Sure.
All right, man. Thanks for talking, man. Have a good one. Huh? Oh man, this is good. I actually have the Red Bull video. I downloaded it and I edited it down to like 30 seconds, 20, you know, so when people haven't seen it, I'll give them like a little sneak peek, you know, and I highlighted where the camera warps from concave to convex. So I slowed them down too, you know, just to make the point, but you know, next time I bring it up, see if maybe I show them that. Oh, by the way, the horizon test, the simple horizon test, I don't know who made it, but I got it from Rob Skiba's channel, but this horizon, I've seen it, a lot of people use it. So I figure I start using it because, you know, it's a simple animation, right? People like animations. So here's what I showed them. How the horizon should look from a globe Earth versus a level Earth. And, so I mean, these are good these are pretty cool animations, you know, just to see both, you know, I guess. But again, this doesn't prove reality at the end of the day. But yeah, I'll be using this one here and there. Let's see what else we got. Oh, by the way, this is all it takes for most people, and coming from experience from my, you know, people I know as well, you know, literally an animation like this, check this out, is literally all it takes to convince someone that they live on a ball, you know. Check this one out. So literally this is all it takes for some people.
We're moving our table here.
Okay.
For doors open.
Okay, sure. That's no worries.
We have to be by the museum.
Okay, no problem. Here it is. Earth must be a globe. Earth must be a globe. Oh my God. So yeah, this is all it takes for some people. Yeah, so when I do this, when I show the videos and stuff like that, I don't really have internet access at the same time I'm going live. So what I have to do is I have to download the videos and have them ready in my phone already. So if I want to share them here on the live, you know, I'm able to, you know, because again, I don't have the internet access or YouTube access to be able to mirror them, you know, on top of the live. They have to be already in the phone storage. So if anybody has any like suggestions about a video maybe I should check out that could be interesting or something like that, you guys can leave a comment, and after the video you guys can leave it a link in the comment section, and in the next live I could go over it, you know, again, and any questions as well that maybe I didn't see here in the chat. If you have any questions, you could just, you know, leave the question at the end of the video in the comments, and yeah, I'll address any questions anyone may have. Yeah, that's pretty much it for now. Again, everybody knows this meme. You know, in order to have motion, you need something pressing on something else. Airplane pushes off the air. Submarines push off water. Boats push off water. Cars push off the ground with the tires, right? You know, obviously that debunks space travel because, again, there's nothing to press off of against to thrust. You know, but now because this same fact debunks objects accelerate down. Again, you have the air to thrust off of, but you don't have the thrusters when an object's in free fall. So again, you're like the airplane. Yeah, there's air to push off of, but you're missing the thrusters. You know, to accelerate objects down. But you know, this simple fact, you know, understanding, you know, debunks the object to accelerate down as well. You know, you need something pressing on something else to cause motion, you know. Fact. Boomy, do you have any Bitcoin? Nope, I don't have Bitcoin. JFK, his last speech. Yeah, those last two guys, oh man, they seemed open-minded, you know, at first, you know, especially he was, you know, they got the first question right, and again, I feel like when this makes too much sense, it could get scary, you know. I kind of got that feeling, not from the guy on the right, but the other guy on the left, the one that wasn't really talking as much, and he kind of had like that face of disbelief in a way, you know. I can't really explain it. I don't know if he just thought I was crazy, or if he just completely blocked all the information out after it started to make sense. Because it kind of gave me just a blank stare, like, you know. The other guy, on the other hand, he was kind of tripping a little more, but I don't know. Pretty crazy. They malfunction. I mean, yeah. When you're not grounded, like in your own common sense, for example, or your own intuition, your own reason, if you're not grounded in your own reasoning, and then somebody brings some information that starts to make sense, two things are going to happen. You're going to either close off, or you're going to be open to it. And this is just going to show who's open-minded and who's not. You know, it's rare that somebody's in the middle. It's very rare, but it does happen. You know, sometimes people are kind of in the middle. You know, the guy on the right kind of gave me the impression that he was kind of in the middle at first, but then the fact that he didn't take the flyer after kind of showed me that this was a little too much. You know, maybe he wasn't ready, basically. So, which I understand. You know, not everybody's ready for this information. It depends. You know, what kind of, you know. Like where are you? You know, it depends where are you in your own life. You know, I think that's what's gonna matter. If you're invested in a business, for example, and growing your own business and accumulating money and wealth and stuff like that, if you're invested in that, you're far from a subject like this. Like you know, someone like that most likely. I'm not gonna speak for everyone, obviously, because I can't. but most likely they're not gonna entertain a subject like this. You know, it's again, this whole system, the whole reason we have occupations is to keep you occupied. I mean, again, going back to the language has to make sense if we're gonna use it to communicate. So the occupations are there to keep you occupied, you know. Schools are there to basically, condition you for your occupation. Because schools are no different. They're just there to keep you occupied. They're just babysitting centers, if anything. You know, for when parents occupied with some pointless fucking job, your kids are gonna get occupied. And not only that, they're gonna get schooled as well. You know, so that's, you know, again, it's all in the language. It's just about understanding the language, you know, and that's what kind of puts the pieces together a bit more. Again, the language doesn't prove anything, but the fact that the language fits physics or fits the reality, in other words, it just shows that, oh shit, there's a reason why this word hasn't changed and it's still the word it is. You know, if a word, you know, doesn't make sense, then it needs to be eradicated. if it's not attached to anything real, you know, if you ask me, it shouldn't be taken serious. You know, let me check out the chat.
Remember that we also changed it because last year they had it earlier with Northern California. This year they're doing it in September. I think we have.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. Like, you live in the city. I mean, I lived in the city my whole life, and yeah, I could tell you that people are never mentally in the moment. You know, they're either, you know, being depressed or thinking about the past, you know, or being worried or stressed about the future, bills, rent, you know, oh, you know, I lost my job or my hours got cut, you know, and stuff like that, and all of that didn't happen by accident. Basically, it was all strategically rolled out. You know, everything that we're experiencing, the economy crashing, the high price of rent, even rent in general, the fact that, you know, this idea of owning land and selling land to someone else, even though you didn't create that land, the land was already there. Who the fuck has a right to claim land and sell it to someone else? Think about that. Think about that. Who the fuck has the right to claim just land that's there and actually sell it to someone else? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Now, I understand if you build a house, you know, on a piece of land and you put a lot of work into that, you put your labor, your sweat, you know, whatever, and you actually sell it or trade it for something else, you know, because you don't want to live in that area anymore. Now, that makes more sense. Okay, you're going to sell your house or trade your house that you built, which again, and if you have to move and you want to move and you couldn't find someone to trade, then you're just going to leave anyway. You're going to take the loss. You know what I'm saying? But again, there's labor behind that. There was work, you know, so that makes sense. But just land in general, land's just there to claim it and sell it to someone else, and people actually buy it. People actually buy, you know, for, we'll say 1,000 square feet, you know, 10,000 square feet of land, just dirt. They literally buy it. Like, it's pretty crazy, you know, when you think about it from a fundamental perspective, you know. And another thing about the economy, since I'm talking about the economy, just a lot of people, and I used to say this as well, but the fact that our economy is not backed by gold anymore is, a lot of people think that that's the reason why the economy is failing, right? And why it got rigged, because it's not backed by gold anymore. Well, here's the trick, in my opinion. Gold on itself doesn't have any value either. So just like paper money that, you know, doesn't have any real value, gold doesn't have any real value either. You can't eat gold. You can't drink gold. You can't make clothes out of gold. You can't, you know what I'm saying? You can't really build a shelter. I mean, you probably could, but it's not going to be practical, you know, to create, you know, a house made of gold. That's retarded. My point is that the only reason why gold even had any value to begin with is because it's a good substitute for a currency. Because gold doesn't deteriorate like other metals. You know, it lasts a long, you know, it doesn't deteriorate basically. So it becomes a good substitute for an already existing currency. So gold on its own doesn't have any value either. So when people say, oh, the economy is not backed by gold, that's why the economy is failing. Well, gold doesn't have any value either. So we were fucked the minute we accepted gold as a currency. The minute we accepted gold as a currency, that's when everything went downhill, if you ask me. You know, because what has value? Water has value. You know, resources have value, materials that you could use to build, practically. You know, simplicity. You know, building. That's what has value. You know, growing your own food, what you could produce, produce. That has value. There's hundreds, thousands of different herbs and plants and different things. That's what the real currency should be, and that's what it was, if anything. And again, gold came in as a substitute for a currency, which again, I don't know how the fuck they trick people into accepting gold, to have value. That doesn't make any sense to me. But yeah, they got people to accept gold, and they substituted the gold back to paper currency, and they don't need the gold anymore. Now they don't even need, the shiny rocks anymore. That's what they are. Gold is just a shiny rock. And yeah, now we have this paper economy that didn't have any value ever to begin with, and that's what's being used. That's the tool to literally control everyone's movements. Literally, people, when it's very rare, you'll find anybody do anything with, that doesn't require getting paid. Money right now is literally the carrot with the donkey on the treadmill. Money is the carrot, and who do you think the donkey is? You know what I'm saying? It's crazy, man. Pretty crazy. Yeah, debt does equal slavery. That's true. And the minute we're born into the system, and I'm pretty sure it's like this in every country, in every government, that when you become a resident or a citizen of that country, especially here in the U.S., you automatically inherit the national debt. So the minute you're born, and register, you're automatically in debt already. So you're automatically a slave, in other words. Because that is slavery in a way, So again, we're born into slavery, literally. It's pretty crazy, man.
I like your outfit. Where's Waldo? Right? Is that what we're doing today? Yeah.
Oh man.
And where's your coffee?
Might call it a little bit earlier today. Maybe I'll just go an hour and 30. We'll see.
If I could get one more, that would be cool.
We'll see.
My own thing at school to get kicked out.
Again, the goals, the Glober's main goal is, again, just to keep people occupied and keep people distracted, and that's where entertainment comes in. And then if you pay attention, most of everybody's lives nowadays, especially in the city, revolves around their occupation and being entertained when they're not in their occupation. In other words, people always look forward to the weekends, right? Those are, you could say that's like recess for people, the weekends, right? So they look forward to the weekends, again, to most people to be entertained, right? To, go out and enjoy their time, I guess, right? Again, it's like their little recess. But again, this whole system is,
quite honestly, it was such
there to keep us occupied and to keep us distracted with the entertainment they offer, So, yeah, I mean, it's pretty crazy. And not only that, they got people literally lazy as fuck. You know what I'm saying? I'm speaking from experience as well. I'm a lazy person. I'll admit that. But this lifestyle basically breeds laziness. And if somebody's lazy, then most likely you're not gonna stand up to atrocities or injustices, for example. So again, keeping people down by making them comfortable, again, is what breeds, that that kind of mentality. Being lazy then leads to being intellectually lazy. So being lazy to think. Think about that. If you're to that point where you're even lazy to think, then damn, they got one on over you. So again, it's all about making you intellectually lazy, physically lazy, and again, just give away your common sense to someone else so that you just obey what you're told. So yeah, they look forward to drinking poison and dancing in musty clubs. You could say that as most people, No, yeah, beer. Yeah, I kind of quit beer, so yeah, I don't really drink beer anymore. I only smoke herbs, so I think that does way better for the mind and the body. It doesn't even need to be debated. It's not even a debate. Now we're in 15. Oh damn, the sun's creeping in a little bit. I'm lazy to do the cleaning. Aren't we all? No, yeah, especially damn, since we have two kids under 3, and we're basically a 2.5-year-old and a newborn, basically. Damn, that makes you even more lazy, man. Like, oh man, it's pretty crazy. Losing sleep. When you have a newborn, you lose sleep. Pretty sure those of you that have kids will know that. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. And then me being a little lazy, it's not that easy to come out here, but just my motivation to share this information outweighs my laziness, literally, easily, but yeah, I mean, that's just me though.
Yeah, if you put Riverside into
Herb makes you paranoid if you smoke too much, or it's like your first time,
Well,
I've been smoking for so long I can't even remember now. I started smoking when I was like 23, so 32, so 9 years, going on 9 years. Yeah, it was around that time. I would say 22, 23. So yeah, we're on 9, 10 years. But yeah. At what age? To be honest, as the day they start questioning what reality is, or even, which I don't even know when that's gonna be. Maybe when they're like 7, 8, maybe when they're like 10. I don't know. I would just have to wait and see once they start asking questions. But yeah, it's gonna be pretty interesting to see their development, their mental development, knowing the truth from the start. Because unlike me and most of you, I didn't come across this till I was 24. 24 years old. So you need to think about that. 24 years of my life just lost, questioning what the fuck's going on, what am I, what is this place? And to be honest, not even questioning it anymore. I did that in the earlier part of my life, but then it was kind of squished by the global earth belief. So it'll be interesting to see the development, I guess, the mental development of what what you think this place actually is, when the kids start to grow up, so 30 years smoking, nice. I think people that do smoke are more likely to have an open mind. I think so, yeah. Just from experience, usually people that don't smoke, from my experience, are usually like squares, I would call them. These are the people that believe everything the government says. They take their job very seriously. You know what I'm saying? They usually don't drink. And then usually they don't smoke either. And usually these people are the most close-minded, like the most close-minded. Usually, it's rare to find someone that close-minded that smokes. it's rare. I personally haven't came across someone that's that close-minded that smokes herb. You know, that they'll completely shut everything down. But that doesn't mean, you know, that there's not close-minded people that smoke. There obviously is, but I'm just saying to that degree, you know, that I've came across the people that don't smoke. You know, yeah, I definitely do think smoking herb or, you know, any plants, any high psychedelics or anything like that could help you open your mind. Definitely. Oh man.
We should have
Most people.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to do that so I can get
flat and motionless. It's not flat and it's not motionless. Why is the earth not flat? Because we have orientation. Earth has orientation. So the earth is level because the level has to do with orientation. Flat has nothing to do with orientation. You could have flat just means a smooth surface with no bumps or indents. The earth is not flat. The earth has orientation and it's level. It's a plane, a horizontal plane that, you know, it's not flat. Because again, there is mountains and valleys as well, you know, but I get it. People want to use it because it's catchy, you know, it's fine, you know, but just know that it's not an accurate representation, you know, that's all. Yeah, flat is not a shape, yeah, I guess you could say. Again, flat has nothing to do with orientation at the end of the day. And Earth has orientation, so to me that's going to be the number one thing to why the Earth is not flat. That's simple, you know. I know, flat meaning no curve, you know, but again, the definition for flat doesn't fit because again, you could have a smooth surface that could be a ball, and you could say that surface of that ball is flat. It doesn't have any bumps or indents. You know, it's a very, you know, perfectly round, smooth surface of a ball could be considered flat. It has a flat surface, you know, it doesn't have any bumps or craters, right? I'm just going by the definition, by the way, showing how level is the accurate definition to it. I mean, a more accurate representation for the Earth than flat, you know, just saying. But yeah, you guys can use whatever word you guys want. Just know that flat Earth, flat, is a trigger word. So when people hear that word, it automatically does something in the brain where they might not even take you serious anymore. So you basically fuck up the conversation from the start, you know. So I mean, if you want to go ahead and do that and, you know, record it and show me how it goes, you know, that would be great. Have I looked into any other major conspiracies? To be honest, I mean, I know of most conspiracies, the major ones, but obviously nothing really catches my attention more than this one, because this one's immediate. It's right in front of you. It's real. It's practical. You know what I'm saying? It's undeniable, right? Because it has to do with physics. So, and obviously being the biggest lie on earth, I think this is the one, you know, that makes the more sense, obviously, to share. This is the one that opens your mind to all the other ones, you know, but I cannot think of any other conspiracy that's bigger than this one, to be honest. Yeah, most conspiracies, like the JFK assassination, dinosaurs, for example, and stuff like that, it all comes almost back to stories, you know. If a conspiracy only goes back to storytelling, I don't like to entertain those, you know, to be honest. Like, if there's something that you can't prove physically, then those conspiracies, they're just conspiracy theories, and I stay away from conspiracy theories. Conspiracy theories are there to muddy the waters at the end of the day, you know. And that's, I mean, we've all experienced that. How, oh, you believe the earth is flat? Oh, you must be a conspiracy theorist, you know what I'm saying? Again, it's just there to muddy the water. So no, I don't pay attention to conspiracy theories, you know, or any other conspiracies, again, for that matter. You know, in my opinion, this is the most important and the most easily provable, you know, therefore it becomes number one priority for me, you know. But yeah,
But not everyone's open. So
not a lot of people are doing street activism right now. I mean, if any of you know of any other street activists that are active, you know, because I know of others, that are not doing activism right now, especially from the UK group. But if you guys know of any other like underground street activists, you know, that maybe I haven't heard of, or maybe, you know, it's new, you know, you guys can share the channel. You know, I actually look forward to, you know, seeing more people doing street activism. So I honestly can't really watch like debates anymore, or, you know, stuff like that, you know, storytelling and debating about the fucking triangulation of the stars and all this fucking bullshit, like, you know, visual fucking battling visual representations of certain models, like, yeah, all of that to me is just kind of a waste of time, you know. Yeah, but if any of you come across any other street activists, or if any of you start doing street activism, you know, let me know. Share your video, you know, link on the comments. I would love to see other people do activism, you know, as well. Yeah, Authentic Intent. Yeah, I'm subscribed to him still. Yeah, I watched Authentic Intent, but yeah, he hasn't been live for over a year. Again, I wouldn't agree with everything he says at the end of the day, but I feel like that's still better content than just somebody, you know, doing a pointless debate with a fucking troll, you know, and making money off of it to top it off. Like, oh my god, like, that's just a fucking waste of time. But yeah, I know of literally of like 5-6 other street activists, Authentic Intent being one of them. Obviously, Dell being another, you know. But it's only like a handful, like maybe 5, 6, maybe like 6, 7. I know Witsit, you know, did activism back then, like a year ago or 2 years ago for a little bit. He did some street activism, but now he's not. So again, I'm only interested in street activism, low-key, you know, and people that remain objective as well, you know. So if you start talking about stories and misrepresenting the facts, simple physics, you know, stuff like that, then I lose interest instantly. Like, I just can't bear it, you know. You know, real recognizes real. That's another thing, you know, people need to recognize. Real recognizes real. And if you're being honest with yourself 100%, you'll be able to tell who's being honest with themselves as well, and who's not. You know, you'll be able to tell who's being real. You know. But yeah, I think street activism is the way forward, you know, definitely. Because if this just stays on the internet, like we've all experienced, you know, they can change comments, they can hide comments, they can, you know, mess with the likes, you know, mess with the views, you know, they could do all that stuff, you know, to discourage new people from looking into this. So it's better that you come across someone in person, introduce the subject logically, you know, with reason and common sense, to the point where they can't deny the simple facts. And now you planted a real seed, you know. And again, there's gonna be propaganda, obviously, that's gonna try to fucking crush, you know, stomp on that seed, you know, from growing. But, you know, again, it's an individual journey at the end of the day. So the only thing I could do is just point you in the right direction, or at least, you know, share some common sense, in hopes that, you know, intrigues you and you look into it further, you know. Yeah, another thing when you come out to do this is your expectation has to be non-existent almost. You know, you basically have to come out and do this knowing that people, you know, are gonna be against it a bit, you know. In other words, you can't have the expectation that you're gonna come out here and convince anybody to begin with, you know. Because again, this is years of indoctrination, you know, years. Even if you make sense, it's not gonna convince them. Again, you could plant a seed of thought, which is my goal, you know, but you're not gonna convince anyone. Maybe somebody that's already like in the middle, like that guy from the first conversation. He was the dad of, you know, looked like it. He was already open to this, so maybe this, you know, is gonna make him commit a little bit more, you know. So yep. Yeah, truth always comes to light. Not only that, all the players, all the people, you know, you could see, I would just say the controlled opposition, all the people that are trying to slow this down, you know, you know, they basically expose themselves. You know, just like truth always comes to light. You know, usually the trolls, you know, or shills, you know, eventually expose themselves as well. You know, that's just the way it is. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I used to like watching Authentic Intent more for the confrontations he would have. Like, he would have a very, not aggressive, but a very forward approach, I guess you could say, to this topic. You know, he would have a bunch of questions and triggering questions or statements and stuff like that. I just thought it was entertaining in a way to see people's reactions to his method. Again, I personally wouldn't do that myself because I'm trying to like actually reason with people, I guess, not to get them triggered. You know, I'm also trying to be Socratic about it, obviously, so I'm not trying to spill the beans right away. And they know, you know, because then they're gonna come in the conversation with their preconceived ideas, you know. So I always thought it was kind of entertaining, you know. I would still rather watch that than fucking debates, you know. But yeah, it was funny to see people's reactions, you know, how triggered they get, you know, when people put these comments, you know, memes out in the public. His anti-vax rants were kind of funny too, but no, yeah, pretty cool though. More street activists will be nice though, that's for sure. I know, yeah, the shills calling others shills. I mean, that's how they try to blend in, basically. You know, with real people again. But again, you don't even have to focus on these claims of them calling other people shills. Focus on the claims. You know, if the claims represent the facts, basically. That's what's going to show you. Do your claims represent the facts? If they don't, then I don't know. Yeah, that's true, base truther. Debates are a waste of time. Coming out and waking up new people, you know, open-minded people, is going to be key to you know, moving forward, basically. I'm just gonna probably wait like 10-15 more minutes and then call it. That's right, debates are for subjective ideas and concepts, literally. So we could have debates about how we should live. We could have debates, you know, if we wanted to live in a community, right? And you could have debates about what's the best way for everybody, you know, to live. But at the end of the day, again, you could live your own life however you want. You know, you don't have to participate in a community. But again, there's just ideas of living, for example, that could be are up for debate. You know? Ideas. Yeah. Mr. Jones, it goes back to being intellectually lazy. So yeah, people don't question the law because they rather believe in the lie than think. Again, because you know, to think for yourself, you know, just, you know, it requires effort. You know, so and again, people don't have that effort. You know, that's what the system kind of does to you as well. In school, you know, from the very start, it takes that from you. You know, your effort to do things. Because when you're forced to do something, you really don't want to do it anymore. So when school forces you to learn, it kind of takes that ability from you to want to learn. You know, the ability to like and want to learn gets stripped from you, you know, when you're in school, because again, it's being forced on you. The minute something is forced on you, and think about it, anything, the minute anything is forced on you and you have to do it now, it loses its taste. Basically, you don't want to do it anymore. Like, you know, I want to do things because I want to do it. That's what it comes down to. I want to learn this because I want to learn it. I want to do this because I want to do this. You know, and that's the only way. You know, to be, if anything, to be at least, you know, somewhat, you know, content with yourself. You know, some peace of mind, some inner peace. You know, to have some control of what you get to do in your life. You know, but yeah. Antarctica is the key. Well, I would say the north is key as well, just to see what's at the north, what, you know, and then yeah, going south after that, you know, to see how far this plane extends, you know, because yeah, the Earth is not infinite, so is there could we reach the end of it? I don't know. I had this idea. You know how we have a limit to how far we could dig down, 8 miles, right? And then the ocean is 8 miles as well, around there. The deepest anyone can go, 8 miles, right? So I had an idea that if the north obviously is the center, and Antarctica is the ring around it, right? What if when we go south, right, and reach Antarctica, right, and then just keep going south, what if it's designed this way, so that we never get to the end of the earth, right, or the container? It could be designed so that it could be thousands of miles, maybe tens, you know, tens of thousands of miles of just complete darkness and ice. You know, if you just go south. In other words, you're not gonna have any equipment or, you know, anything that could work under those conditions. Kind of like the drills that overheat and you can't really drill anymore down. What if going outwards, it's kind of like that, where we can't physically go further, right? Because it's too cold, you know, and you know, and it could very well be something like that, you know. And yeah, we won't know unless we start exploring this place. And the other possibility is that maybe they did find the container, right? They went as far as they could, and you know, I don't know. Maybe the container, you know, again, maybe it could be other ponds, you know, before we reach the container. Again, we don't really know what's beyond, you know, Antarctica, if it's even there, you know. Yeah, we are kind of trapped in a way, you know. Maybe that's another thing that the government doesn't want people to realize, because then people might lose it. People might lose their mind, literally. Like, they might not be able to take this reality for what it actually is, that they're just gonna go crazy, you know. They're not gonna take life serious to the point where they're just, you know, because at that point life is not gonna make sense to them, because, you know what I'm saying, a big lie like this, you know, we're being contained, you know, like, again, maybe some people won't be able to take it, you know, who knows. Yeah, I think it's physically possible. But again, unless it's something like the scenario where if it's just thousands and thousands of miles of ice and darkness, then that could be something that could keep us from that. But again, we don't know if Antarctica is even there, you know, or we don't know what's beyond, you know, how far it extends, you know, which is, you know, part of the reason why, you know, activism and spreading this information is key. Government is a mockery. Maybe they're rebuilding the Tower of Babel. You magically come out of the other side of the dome. Right? Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I trip out on this reality, you know. It's a trip. Yeah, that could be very, you know, that could be a possibility. Other humanoid species, you know, that walk on two legs as well, you know, and basically mammals, you know. I mean, monkeys are the closest thing we have, but something even, you know, I mean, giants apparently could have existed, but I don't know. I'm not gonna believe that until it's confirmed, until it's undeniable. You know, these are the kind of conspiracy theories you should avoid. You know, giants on Earth. Like, yeah, I've heard of the claims. I've seen the stories, just like I've seen the stories and claims of dinosaurs. I mean, you know, but I don't know. I'm not saying it's not true, but I'm not gonna believe it either. These are the conspiracy theories, again, that are just there to kind of distract from this main one, if you ask me. You know, because none of these come even close to this one. I mean, you could just look at people's reactions when I bring up this subject to them. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to have that reaction to any other subject. Think about it. These are the best reactions you're going to get to this subject. You know, introducing this subject to someone new, you're not going to get a better reaction. You know, I mean, think about what other subject, you know, talking about, you know, sharing with other people could give you a more, you know, crazier reaction than the level Earth. You know, I don't think there's one. Dinosaur. When I bring up dinosaurs, again, because it's not grounded in any physics that we could prove immediate right now. You know, most people would just lose the plot at that point. That's why I'm staying away from those conspiracy theories like that. I'm not even gonna give my opinion on them anymore. You know, because it's pointless. You give your opinion about something like that, and that kind of gives them an out. You know what I'm saying? That's what people, when people bring up all these other subjects, when you're talking about the shape of the Earth, and they bring up dinosaurs, and what about all this other stuff, and they're looking for an out. They're looking for you to say you don't know, or they're just looking for a way, for an out, basically, you know? And I'm not even going to entertain that anymore. Like, you know, that's what I've learned from doing this, you know? Yeah, it's like debating Santa Claus. Like, well, these are ideas, myths. You know, again, just represent the facts. That's it. People could try to muddy the waters. That's basically what they do. They don't do it intentionally, but it's part of the programming, where they try to muddy the waters right away. And again, they're muddying their own waters. You know, it's like that wall they're putting up in front of it. You know, they're muddying their own waters because, oh shit, it's making sense, right? It's becoming clear. But what about this? What about the sun? And what about, and that's them muddying the waters, like, you know, like, but again, it's just, I don't really blame people for doing that, you know, so much, because again, it is part of the programming, and again, that shows who's really open-minded and who's not. And the majority of people are not, you know. And no, yeah, I mean, it's pretty crazy to see like the psychological response, you know, to this subject. You know, it's pretty cool. That's why I would like to see others do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't really watch anything. I mean, I do watch sports. I'm not gonna lie. You know, when I have free time, well, again, with 2 kids, you rarely have any free time, you know, especially with having to work and stuff like that, having to worry about paying rent and all this shit, you know. So I don't really watch too much, you know, I don't really watch other YouTubers as much, you know, stuff like that. And part of the reason is because there's not many representing the facts or sticking to physics, for example, you know. There's not, you know. So yeah, I'm just hoping, man, in the next couple of years, there's more people doing activism. That way, this thing can move forward, you know. Because there's only a couple people doing this, and you know, it's gonna move forward, but it's gonna move forward very slow, you know. If we want this to move faster, then we all gotta pitch in. We all gotta spread the word somehow, you know. Even if you can't come out and have direct conversations with people, I mean, you could, you know, make business cards. You know, make flyers like the ones that I do. You know, you can make your own flyer, for example. Put the facts that you want to put the links that you want to put that help you realize this, you know, and that's a way to, you know, to help, you know, this move forward. You know, the more people are actively sharing this, the faster it's gonna move forward. I mean, that's just common sense, you know. Wall flat earth, Italian PC channel has been. I've seen the videos of the ice wall. Again, we don't know what exactly they're recording, you know. You could believe that it is Antarctica because that's what they claim, but you weren't there to confirm. You didn't, at the end of the day, again, these are just claims, which, again, I'm not going to dismiss, but I'm not going to accept either. They're cool stories at the end of the day. But stories don't prove reality. I'm afraid so. Oh, yeah. JT. Making people believe, again, in the globe. That's why when flat earthers are saying that, oh, gravity, talking about gravity and the pulling force of gravity, debunking gravity it's a distraction. And it's like, as a flat earther, how is debunking gravity a distraction? It's the whole glue to the heliocentric model. Literally, without gravity, there is no heliocentric model. So if you could debunk gravity's claims practically using physics, why wouldn't you as a flat earther? Right? You're trying to expose the globe. So why wouldn't you debunk gravity as a part of, as you're trying to debunk the globe? As it's the only thing they have. Well, it's the thing that explains everything in their model. And if that could be debunked, then their whole model falls apart. You don't even need to go into the water. The water will be self-evident. Even globers admit that water's level locally. You know what I'm saying? So, debunking gravity, again, through physics, showing that objects don't have any pressure during free fall, and there's no effects of motion during free fall, no displacements of water during free fall. Debunking gravity like that, it's gonna... The globe believers are not gonna have anything to fall back on, basically. Because when you go with water level and all these, they usually go back to gravity. Oh, but gravity, things fall, and that can be measured, and there's something, Again, it's kind of like their cop-out, So if you could explain how gravity is just a theory and objects don't accelerate down like they claim, then their whole idea falls apart. Gravity couldn't even hold Einstein's hair. His hair was anti-gravity. He used to use anti-gravity gel. Anti-gravity dust. That's right. Moonstar, that's true. Something that's so much closer shouldn't be so mysterious. So, like the North, I'm assuming you're talking about, right? Yeah, the North Pole, exactly. Yeah, the North it's there. That's what trips me out. That's what makes the North, to me, a little bit more interesting than the South. Again, I'm not saying the South is not interesting, but the North is right there. Like, people could theoretically fly. People theoretically, well, not theoretically, but so could fly across it almost every day, but they go around it, obviously. But what is there? What is at the North? It's right there. We could literally, if you had a group of 10 to 100 people, 10 very skilled, if anything, sailors and stuff like that. If you have, 10, depending on, how skilled they are, but a group of people basically can make it happen. Now, if there isn't, like a treaty for the North that keeps people from actually exploring it, which I haven't heard of, by the way, then I could see why, that could be a reason that's keeping people from actually exploring. But if you ask me, it's only a matter of time before a small group of committed individuals that have the resources and the skills to navigate, because I personally don't have the skills. I would have to learn, I understand the basics of it, but I've never done it, so I have no practice in it whatsoever. So if a group of people, again, that are trained, to have experience, in navigating and stuff like that, and surviving skills even, they can make it happen. They can make the North mystery not a mystery. You know what I'm saying? What's really there? What's really causing this magnetic pull, right? Or magnetic flow. I don't even want to use the word pull. Again, it's just a word to describe things going towards the center. You know, it's a description of direction, pull. But yeah, what's causing this pull towards the center, right? So I think that, I don't know, I think that for sure we could find out in our lifetime, you know, for sure. But yeah. I've heard of that, Mr. Jones, the Garden of Eden being at the north. Supposedly the 4 little islands that surround the Mount Meru, or I don't know if that's what they call the mountain, supposedly. And again, these are just stories. But yeah, supposedly the Garden of Eden was in these 4 continents that are at the center, which again, is just a story until it's confirmed. Which again, people should be questioning that. If you ask me, you know, what the fuck is that at the north, you know? And then once we find that out, I mean, if it's not too crazy, you know, then we could go south, you know. Obviously, going south, in my opinion, is going to be way more dangerous, that's for sure. But yeah, the north could be easily done. What's causing the aurora borealis, for example, right? The lights you see in the sky, the aurora borealis, you know, there's a phenomenon, you know, that's coming from the north, you know. Also, what's right underneath the North Star? Another thing, that's another question. You know, there's no video or any picture of anybody being right underneath the North Star, so that's another thing. What's right underneath the North Star? You know? The one that doesn't appear to move, you know. So yeah, it's a pretty good question.
I personally think that and they actually start.
All right, I'm gonna start wrapping.
Okay, so I've had a couple of conversations with the city manager, just for me that it's not going to happen because they keep saying, don't put it in the downtown core, put it in the core.
All right.
You're not going to deal with
Just check the chat one more time.
because but city council was housing in
Right. The lack of parallax in the stars proves that it's not spinning. You know, not that it's stationary. That doesn't prove that it's stationary. If you were in outside, so what you're saying is that if you were in an elevator and you had a chandelier, for example, or a rotating light fixture on top of the elevator, you're saying that the only way that the chandelier, obviously because of the chandeliers, you know, the lights are spinning, and that the only way that the sky spins is for the elevator to not be in motion. You could clearly move the elevator and spin the lights above you at the same time. So if anything, the sky is spinning above us proves that the Earth is not spinning, but it doesn't prove that it's stationary, because it could still be in motion while the lights are spinning above it, right? So I don't know, that logic to me doesn't make sense, Gavin. Because again, the lack of parallax will just show that the Earth is not spinning, or shooting through space at 4 different speeds that they claim. You know, like the solar system going around the Milky Way, and the Milky Way shooting through space. You know, and the Earth spinning around the sun. You know, all these motions couldn't exist. Obviously, you would have to see parallax, but it doesn't mean the Earth has to be motionless. You know? Follow the star, right? Apology. Yeah, that's true. You hear stories like I think it's in Christianity, like what are they called? The ones that bring them gifts, the apostles. I don't even know what they're called anymore, but they supposedly follow the North Star to get to Jesus, right? Isn't that the story? That the 3 apostles? I don't know what they're called. I don't want to say the wrong name, but the ones that brought them gifts, supposedly, and they followed the North Star until they reached, you know, baby Jesus. I think that's the story. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not too familiar with these stories. The 3 wise men. Oh, yeah, I think that's what they are. Yeah, the 3 kings. Yeah, I think I've heard of the 3 wise men or something like that. Yeah, these stories are funny. What's crazy though is that people actually believe it. That's when it doesn't really become funny anymore. You know, like, 'cause it is funny. You know, in a way that grown adults believe this stuff. It is kind of funny until it's not. until it becomes serious, you know, and then it's like they can't snap out of the belief, you know, and then that's when it's like, holy shit, you truly, you know, believe. And that's when it's like, holy shit. That's when it could go from funny to scary, you know, like literally, you know, people that believe these stories, you know, quick, you know, because again, you don't know, you know, people's insides and what they're willing to do to defend these beliefs, you know, and stuff like that. And that's when it can become scary. Some people are very easily triggered, you know. You question their beliefs, ooh, they're gonna come at you, you know. So that's another good reason why if you're gonna talk about this in public, it's always good to record, you know, because it's pretty crazy. So before I go, I just thought I'd give an update about my arrest, just real quick. So I did get my cameras back, and I was gonna do a post. I did a post, but I got my cameras back, and apparently, because in the motion to release my property, I didn't put that they took my SD card, the micro SD card that was in the camera. Again, I didn't think I had to because it was in the camera when they took it, and they don't have the right to search the camera physically or digitally. You know, they need a warrant to search my property. So I didn't think I had to put the SD card in the motion to release my property. So when I got my property back, guess what? The SD card's missing, right? So I was like, where's the SD card? And they're like, well, you need to file another motion to get your SD card because you didn't put it in the description, which again, they basically are fucking themselves because I was like, okay, fine. I'll charge my phone up and I'll just get the video from there, you know, fuck it, you know. Most likely the SD card videos are gonna be deleted because, I mean, they kept it from me, you know, to begin with. So I charged my phone up, I turned it on, and guess what? It was fucking restored. So they restored my phone like new. So not only don't I don't have the video from my phone, they actually have my SD card as well from the other camera. So at the moment, I don't have any video. And to be honest, even if I get that, and to be honest, even if I get my SD card back, what are the odds that the videos are gonna be in there? After they restored my phone to make sure that it was deleted on the phone, what are the odds that an SD card that could easily be put into any computer, you know, and look at the files, what are the odds that the video is gonna be in there, you know? So basically, these motherfuckers, because the case was dropped, they deleted my videos. So this is where they basically fucked themselves, because I wasn't even looking into filing a lawsuit, to be honest. I just wanted to get my cameras back. I wanted to expose them, and that's it. I wasn't even gonna file a lawsuit. As long as I could go back there without being harassed, that was a win for me. The fact that they deleted my footage, you know, basically is pushing me now that I'm gonna file a lawsuit. I most likely am. I have to find a lawyer now because, you know, that's not easy. A lawyer that's gonna be willing to take the case, but they literally tampered with the evidence. They literally deleted my both of my videos, you know. And I am gonna file a motion for the SD card just to make sure, you know, just to get it, just to have it as my evidence. But the plus to this happening, I like to look at the positives and everything. So the good thing why this happened to me is because now that this happened, that I know that I already knew the cops were dirty, they would delete videos from other activists, you know, First Amendment auditors and stuff like that. I already knew that they would do this, but, you know, I just never thought it would have happened to me this soon, I guess, right? So the fact that they're able to confiscate your equipment when you're under arrest, even if it's an unlawful arrest, right? The fact that they could confiscate your videos and delete it, so it made me set up my phone now so that my phone, that's part of the reason why I'm doing live streams now, so that the videos get saved automatically, so that if that happens, I have evidence. But I'm also setting up my Google Drive to automatically save the recording as well. So when I'm recording, for example, and I'm not live streaming, it's automatically gonna save to my cloud anyways. So even if somebody was to restore my phone, it's not gonna delete the videos. So they're gonna be saved to the cloud, basically. The what is it, Google Drive, I think. Yeah. So I think it's worth it. I mean, I think it's like 20 bucks a year for 100 gigs, and you make sure that all your videos are stored, you know, just in case something like this does happen, you know, in case the live stream goes bad, you know, or something, you know. You never know what could happen with YouTube to top it off. If I get arrested again, I can't rely on YouTube to save the video for me. You know, I have a feeling that if I get arrested again, I feel like maybe YouTube's gonna remove the video and then I have no evidence again. But the fact that I have it backed up to my Google Drive, even if YouTube was to remove the video, I would still have a video of my arrest, even if they deleted the footage. So again, it's kind of a good thing this happened to me, because otherwise I wouldn't have done the preparation that I did just in case it happens again. So again, I'm gonna going back to Victoria Gardens where I was arrested. So maybe next weekend, we'll see. But I'm gonna be a regular there, and we'll see if they're stupid enough to arrest me or kick me out again, you know, because this time for sure I'm gonna have the video, you know. They got away with it once, you know, but they're not gonna get away with it again, because that was fucking dirty, you know, dirty motherfuckers, you know. That was pretty crazy, man. It's a trip. But yeah, just thought I wanted to share that. So a lot of cops are Masons, yeah. No, yeah, YouTube is Google. That's true. I mean, I have them backed up to Google Drive, but again, yeah, I mean, if they could delete the YouTube video, they could probably delete my Google Drive too, right? We'll see what happens. But at least, you know, it's an extra precaution, you know what I'm saying? Opposed to just, you know, not having anything backed up. You know, the live stream is one, the Google Drive is another. You know, it's always good to have as many precautions as possible, because these people, police, are unpredictable, you know, like literally. So all right, that's gonna be it. So thanks again for everybody that showed up again. Not sure if I'm gonna upload any edited conversations from this one, but we'll see. I might. Yeah, thanks again, and see you guys on the next one.